First of all, let me express my deep appreciation to all those who have responded to our invitation for this 26th conference on the series that we started 2 years ago under the theme Thirukkural and UNESCO for World Peace International Conference, organized by International Thirukkural Foundation in association with Tamil Valarachi Mandram, Australia, Voice of Valluvar Family, India, and valeitamil.com, our friend Partha Sarati. Today, we are in a way innovating this time with this series because Dr. Prabhakaran, as we all know, is a great erudite, and I would say on Thirukkural. I could see when I'm in touch with him regularly, I could feel that he must be breathing Kural almost every day, just to say how deep it is in him. And this profound knowledge and attachment to Kural has created in him a flow of wise thought, a flow of number of good initiatives, and he's doing the best he can to put all that in writing for posterity in both Tamil and English. And today, the theme that he has chosen is Thirukkural, the incredible gift to mankind. And what will follow in a series of talks that he has agreed to give will be different themes of great relevance to the modern world, to the society on Thirukkural, based on Thirukkural teachings. And so we expect that this series will certainly bring more information, more knowledge sharing, and more light on the teachings of Valluvar. Well, let me give you a brief introduction on Dr. Prabhakaran's biography. And I would take this opportunity. In fact, I was Mr. Rajendran. At the end of the talk, I will be very honored as usual that you give the vote of the comments, and the vote of thanks, and initiate also some questions that could be followed by other questioning. Thank you. Well, Dr. Prabhakaran received his bachelor's and master's degrees in mathematics from India. He then migrated and became a citizen of the USA, where he received his MS and PhD degrees in computational mathematics and an MBA in management and management information system. During his professional career, he has held several senior level positions in large corporations and has successfully managed supercomputer facilities for NASA and the US Army. In addition to his regular jobs, he has also served as an adjunct professor at Cleveland State University and the University of Akron, Ohio. Dr. Prabhakaran is very interested in Tamil language and literature. In 2003, he formed a group called the Tamil Literary Study Group in Washington, D.C. Under the auspices of this group, he taught Thirukkural and Sangam literature to Tamil enthusiasts. Inspired by the success of this group, people have now formed similar groups in other states, cities in the USA. He has authored several blogs and books on Sangam literature. In the past 20 years, he organized several seminars on Thirukkural and international conferences on Thirukkural, Puranuru, and Kuruntokkei in Washington, D.C. When he was the president of the Washington Tamil Association, install a statue of Thiruvallur in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. He has also delivered more than 50 lectures on various aspects of Thirukkural for American Tamil radio and various groups in India. He was also the featured speaker twice in the series that we've been organizing, our monthly lecture on Thirukkural and UNESCO. And most of his lectures are available on YouTube. So I would therefore encourage you, if you want to discover more, go on his YouTube page. Dr. Prabhakaran is very passionate about Thirukkural. As a result of his keen interest in Thirukkural, he wrote more than 20 essays in English on various aspects of Thirukkural and published them as a book titled The Ageless Wisdom as Embodied in Thirukkural. I had the great privilege of reading the book, covering the whole chapters that he has addressed in the book, and I must say it's really you get great wisdom reading The Ageless Wisdom, and I would encourage all of you to do have a copy of this book and take the benefit from it. He has also published a book containing more than 30 essays on Thirukkural in Tamil titled Puttiya Parvayil Thirukkural. And very interestingly, his next book, which is being almost finalized, is entitled Valluvar's Answers to Vital Questions. It is expected to be released next month. In this new book, Dr. Prabhakaran finds answers to essential questions from Thirukkural and provides a brief explanation based on personal experiences, current events, history, and literature. And just to give you a glimpse of this new book, which is coming very soon, what in fact it does, it takes a number of very important teachings or lessons from Kural, and he has grouped them. If I give you just an example of some of the elements in the content, for example, you take In Praise of God, and then you look at all the couplets, the verses in Thirukkural which relate to this topic. So therefore, the reader, especially young people, especially those who don't read Tamil, once they look at the content of the book, they will see that if you want to know more about what Valluvar says about In Praise of God, then he has 3 questions there and give the answers by reference to either one couplet, one verse from Thirukkural, or several ones where it is applicable. So then he takes other topic like importance of rain. So I think it makes it easier for people to go and discover Thirukkural and the different, very useful topics. The other one is greatness of ascetics. I'm just giving you a few examples to get an idea. Then he talks of insistence on virtue. Then he gives you a few questions and then give us the relevant Kural verses with an explanation. And the explanation is just not explanation. It is explanation based on current situation, on events happening, on also his own experience and experiences, real life experiences. Then he will take family life, and this is of great interest to the whole community. So family life, he will give what's the goal, what should be the goal of married life, and which is better, family life, and so on. So this book, I'm very sure, will be of great interest and very useful to many people who can read it in English, but also to the youngsters. And that, I think, will be something to be very, very valuable. The blessings of children, love, hospitality, speaking pleasant words, and so on and so on. I've just taken 10 of them, but the book will contain a lot of contents which will cover the 2 parts of Thirukkural in a way which is unique and in a way which will certainly address the interests of young people, especially because we want to ensure that Thirukkural stays with the future generation also. And that, I think, is very important for us to do. It's our duty to transmit Thirukkural to future generations in a way that they can easily take it. Well, he has, therefore, the book, we are looking forward to have this book very soon. And as I said, many people, non-Tamilian, who like Thirukkural, who heard of Thirukkural, will gain a lot from this book. We'll give them a quick insight into the teachings of Valluvar. Well, also, Dr. Prabhakaran has not only stopped in organizing conferences and so on, but he has gone into practical things, like he has conducted weddings in the USA based on Thirukkural. And we know how important it is. He has organized Thirukkural essay competition for high school students in North America. Dr. Prabhakaran holds the promotion of Thirukkural as his goal in life. As I told you in my introductory address, personally interacting with him very often, I can assure you that he is somebody who must be breathing Thirukkural almost the whole day, because this is what inspires him. This is what keeps him young, as you could see. I don't want to tell you his age, but he's still going strong, because I believe these are the ingredients. This is the recipe for him to stay young and to keep on writing. And that, I think, is something for which we are very grateful. So in view of his unbounded enthusiasm to achieve his goal, he's often referred to as Thirukkural. And on this note, I would invite Dr. Prabhakaran to make his presentation on this very interesting topic that we've chosen for today, that is Thirukkural as a gift, the incredible gift to mankind. Dr. Prabhakaran, on to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Armugam Parasuraman, for that kind introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Armugam Parasuraman invited me to present a series of lectures on Thirukkural. I plan to present 6 lectures in this series. The topic for today's lecture is Thirukkural, the incredible gift to humanity. Since this is an introductory lecture, I'd like to go over some of the basic facts about Thirukkural. You might already know these things, but anyway, if you're already familiar with Thirukkural, please bear with me while I cover these basic facts. Specifically, I'll be talking about the uniqueness of Thirukkural, the revolutionary nature of Thirukkural, rationalism in Thirukkural, the immortal nature of Thirukkural, its universal applicability, the current state of Thirukkural, and how we can promote the awareness of Thirukkural throughout the world. These are the broad topics I'll be dealing with. In the course of human history, there have been many philosophers, prophets, sages, and saints who have contributed to the development of philosophical ideas. Most of these great scholars had a religious bias and were inconsiderate or indifferent in matters related to social justice, social equality, and rationalism. For example, despite his extraordinary ability for dialectical reasoning, Socrates believed in the infallibility of Oracle of Delphi, and he never rejected the Athenian view of religion. Socrates' ardent disciple Plato was proud of the fact that he was an Athenian and not a barbarian, and he was so happy that he was born as a man instead of being born as a woman. In ancient Greece, which is considered as the cradle of democracy, slavery was an accepted practice. Aristotle, a student of Plato, says, "Some should rule and others be ruled is a thing not only necessary but expedient. From the hour of their birth, some are marked out for subjection, others for rule." So it is apparent that social equality was not considered the foundation of democracy by the ancient Greek philosophers. The Chinese philosopher Confucius believed that heaven is the author of all virtue, and he considered heaven itself as a kind of God, and God created the virtue in us. The religious leaders, Mahavira and the Buddha, were concerned more about the life after death rather than life on earth. There have been only very few philosophers who were truly rational and secular in their thinking. Almost 500 years after Socrates, Confucius, and the Buddha, in the state of Tamil Nadu, there was an extraordinary man named Thirukkural, also known as Valluvar. He was a renowned Tamil poet, philosopher, ethicist, management strategist, humanist, and a rationalist. His famous book is Thirukkural, also known as the Kural. The Kural consists of 3 parts and a total of 1,330 couplets. The first part deals with virtue, the second deals with wealth, and the third is about premarital and postmarital love. The Quran is a treatise on social life. It is the embodiment of enlightened wisdom, the hallmark of ancient Tamil civilization, with a rich heritage, tradition, and culture. It is a literary masterpiece of verses with poetic excellence, brevity, crispness, rhythm, and syntax that are easy to grasp and remember. It is a treasure trove of knowledge based on rational, secular, analytical, practical, and worldly outlook, molded in the norms of virtue, aesthetics, love, compassion, hospitality, sociability, generosity, service, etc. And all of these are cemented in family life. It is not constrained by the tenets of any religious faith or dogma, but adopts and highlights the virtues in many of them. Thirukkural was first printed in 1812. Since then, it has been translated into more than 40 languages worldwide, and there are more than 50 translations in English alone. The Quran is one of the most widely translated non-religious texts in the world. The famous Tamil poet Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar rightly stated that Tamil Nadu attained great fame by giving Thiruvallur as a gift to the world. In fact, many scholars and philosophers from various parts of the world have recognized and admired Vallur's profound and pragmatic view of human life and the practical guidelines he has offered for a purposeful life in his remarkable magnum opus, the Quran. The Quran is considered as a veritable guide for the art of living. The highly acclaimed German philosopher and Nobel laureate, Dr. Albert Schweitzer, says about Thirukkural that there hardly exists in the literature of the world a collection of maxims in which we find so much lofty wisdom. In the words of Professor Kamil Zulabil, a renowned Tamil scholar from Czech Republic, Thirukkural is a contribution of Tamil creative genius to the world's cultural treasure and should be familiar to the whole world and admired and beloved by all in the same way as poems of Homer, the dramas of Shakespeare, the pictures of Rembrandt and the cathedrals of France, and the sculptures of Greece. The renowned British missionary, Reverend Dr. G.U. Pope, hailed Thirukkural as the bard of universal man. The famous Indian poet and Nobel laureate, Rabindranath Tagore, stated, the ideas of the great saint Thiruvallur will apply not only to India, but to the whole world. Leo Tolstoy, the famous Russian novelist, was very impressed by Vallur's ideas on nonviolence. Also, Mahatma Gandhi was so fascinated by the Quran that he wanted to learn the Tamil language so that he could study the original version of the Quran. The Russians are said to have preserved important books of lasting value in the Kremlin in an indestructible tungsten chamber so that they may outlast even a nuclear attack and be useful to the posterity. The Quran is one of the books in that chamber. In fact, Vallur deserves all these adulations and much more for his outstanding contributions to mankind. He has analyzed all facets of human life and has devised his own original guidelines for a purposeful life on earth. The 3 religions which existed during Vallur's time were the Vedic religion, Buddhism, and Jainism. In the Quran, we see evidence of Vedic thinking, reflections of the enlightened Buddha, and the sanctity of non-violence as emphasized by Jainism. We can also hear the echoes of Jesus Christ's Sermon on the Mount, see the semblance of 10 Commandments, and even notice the rationalism of atheists in the Quran. But despite all the similarities, Valluvar's Thirukkural is totally original and secular in nature. Yet, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and even some Christians try to argue in vain regarding the religious affiliation of Valluvar. Valluvar's profound ideas are universally acceptable and eternally valid contributions to mankind. We shall now see some of the salient features of the Quran that has attracted the attention and admiration of many scholars throughout the world. There are two aspects of Thirukkural that deserve special mention. One is that Thirukkural is unique in many respects, and the other is that Thirukkural is a revolutionary literature. First, let us talk about the uniqueness of Thirukkural. During the days of Valluvar, the three major religions were the Vedic religion, Buddhism, and Jainism. The primary focus of these three religions was the liberation of the human soul from the never-ending chain of births and deaths. These religions considered life on earth as a preparatory stage for a better life after death and also an opportunity to pursue the ultimate goal of attaining salvation. Although Valluvar concurs with the idea of salvation, he considers it as an option rather than the absolute goal for everyone. Valluvar is more concerned with living a good life on earth. For him, the world is real and the life is worth living. His book is all about the world and life affirmation. According to Valluvar, a man who leads an ideal life in this world will be ranked among the gods in heaven. He says, if you want to pursue the goal of salvation, renounce the worldly pleasures. Once you renounce the worldly pleasures, there are many things that need to happen before you attain your goal. Couplet 342. Compared to the prevailing philosophical ideas of his time, Valluvar's book is really unique in that it reinforces world and life affirmation and treats the pursuit of salvation as an option. This is a unique feature of Thirukkural. According to Valluvar, salvation is not the ultimate goal for everyone, it is only an option, whereas the religions considered that as the goal for all human beings. Prior to Valluvar's time and during his time, virtue, wealth, and love were considered as the three goals of human life. There were books dealing with each of these goals, and there was no book that covered all three goals. The first book that dealt with all three goals is Thirukkural. It's all in the same book, whereas other books are separate, one for virtue, maybe another one for love, another one for wealth, and so on. So this is another example of the uniqueness of Valluvar's book. Classical Tamil literature is divided into two main categories, Agam and Puram. Agam really deals with love poems, dealing with different situations in the development of love between man and a woman. These poems are about inside family, especially about the relationship between men and women. The exterior poems are about life outside the family. That is the king, the king's wars, the king's greatness and generosity, ethics, death and dying, and so on. Before Valluvar's time, all books in Tamil literature either dealt with Agam or Puram. In the Quran, the parts dealing with virtue and wealth belong to the Puram category, and the third part of the Quran, which deals with love, belongs to the Agam category. Quran was the first book that contained poems dealing with Agam and Puram in the same book. The ancient Tamil culture glorifies courage, valor, and war. Valluvar was the first scholar, philosopher, and poet who extols the virtue of non-violence and not killing any living creature. In fact, Valluvar is perhaps the one who first proposed the idea of doing good in return for evil. In couplet 314 of Thirukkural, Valluvar says, the best punishment for those who do evil to you is to shame them by returning good for evil. This was indeed a novel and a unique concept ever to be proposed by any philosopher. Of all the available books on Tamil literature, Tolkappiyam is the oldest book, but Tolkappiyam is a grammar. The oldest book in Tamil literature that is not a grammar is Thirukkural. This is also another unique feature of Thirukkural. Lastly, the Kural was the first book with only 2-line poems. So we find several novel, unique features and ideas in Thirukkural. In addition to being unique, the Quran is also revolutionary in many respects. During Valluvar's time, the Vedic idea that people in the world belong to 4 distinct hierarchies of classes: the priestly class, the warrior class, the business class, and the class of laborers, has already begun to have its roots in the Indian society. The class of an individual is determined by the family in which he is born, and there is no provision for migration from one class to another. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that he himself created this hierarchical class structure, and even he cannot change it. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, stanza 13. But in couplet 972, Valluvar declares, all human beings are equal by birth, but distinctions arise only because of different qualities of their actions. Considering the fact that Valluvar made his declaration of human equality about 2000 years ago, in opposition to the hierarchical class structure, is indeed remarkable and revolutionary. The Tamil society to which Valluvar belonged considered chastity as a highly desirable and a mandatory virtue for all women, and at the same time condoned the promiscuous behavior of men instead of condemning it. There is ample evidence in Tamil literature belonging to the Sangam period to indicate that men having a relationship with prostitutes was not unusual. But Valluvar condemns the promiscuous behavior of men in no uncertain terms by expressing his strong disapproval of their relationship with prostitutes and involvement in adultery. In fact, he says, a man's greatness will be intact only if he guards himself like a chaste woman, in couplet 974. In Valluvar's code of conduct, there is no tolerance for promiscuity. This is another example of Valluvar's revolutionary thinking. Also, the fact that consumption of indigenously brewed and imported alcoholic beverages was widely prevalent in Tamil society is well documented in the Tamil literature. Valluvar was the first poet and philosopher to disapprove the use of inebriating intoxicants. This is yet another example of his revolutionary thinking. Valluvar does not succumb to the fatalistic tendencies prevalent with the religious zealots of his time. Some religions tend to overemphasize the role of God in the affairs of men and underestimate the role of hard work and effort. Valluvar says, even if God cannot help you to attain your goal, you will be rewarded in proportion to your efforts and hard work. Couplet 619. There are always unpredictable random events, otherwise known as fate, that occur in life and interfere with planned activities of people. While recognizing the possibility of unpredictable random events, Valluvar says the people who work hard with ceaseless industry will overcome the obstacles created by those random events. Couplet 620. Valluvar's emphasis on effort and hard work instead of fate bears testimony to his revolutionary thinking. In addition to unique and revolutionary aspects of Thirukkural, we also find the idea of rationalism in Thirukkural. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines rationalism as a theory that reason is in itself a source of knowledge superior to and independent of sense perceptions. Based on this definition, we see that Valluvar's ideas are in total agreement with that of rationalism. For example, in couplet 355, he says, Whatever be the apparent nature of things, it is wise to investigate their true nature. It is this type of free inquiry that forms the foundation of science. If Isaac Newton had ignored to investigate why an apple fell towards the ground instead of going up in the air, we would not have the laws of Newton. If Thomas Alva Edison did not pursue his investigations relentlessly, he would not have invented the incandescent electric bulb. He would not have developed many devices in fields such as electric power generation, mass communication, sound recording, motion pictures, etc. World's idea that one should investigate the true nature of things is entirely compatible with rational thinking and scientific methodologies. In couplet 423, Vallur advises his readers that true wisdom is to discern the truth in whatever is said by whomsoever. Questioning and verifying the statements made by others is the mark of critical thinking, and critical thinking leads to increased knowledge. For example, if Charles Darwin had not thought critically and simply accepted the religious teachings on creationism, he would not have developed his theory of evolution. If Nicholas Copernicus had not doubted Ptolemy's theory of geocentricity, he would not have come up with his theory of heliocentricity, which is regarded as the launching point of modern astronomy and scientific revolution. A typical religious person would not be open to questioning his own religious dogmas, but Vallur insists that we should question anything said by anybody. The Buddha, the original rationalist, is supposed to have said, believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who said it, no matter if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. Vallur does not endorse any religion as the ultimate truth and is open to inquiry of all statements made by anyone. He echoes the Buddha when he says that individuals should investigate and believe whatever they feel comfortable with and should not blindly follow anyone. The couplets 355 and 423 are proof of Vallur's support for rationalism. In addition to being unique, revolutionary, and rationalistic in its approach, the Quran is also an immortal masterpiece created by Vallur. What is meant by something being immortal? It means that it lives or lasts forever. Are there things that are immortal? Yes, there are a few things that are truly immortal. For example, the best known and the most visited portrait of Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, the impressive sculpture of David by Michelangelo, the enchanting compositions of musical virtuosos like Bach and Beethoven, the famous religious books like Bible, the Quran, Bhagavad Gita, and other outstanding literature in major languages are examples of masterpieces which have stood the test of time. The reason for their apparent immortality is that they have an intrinsic value or beauty that appeals to their viewers, listeners, readers, and followers. Likewise, Thirukkural is also immortal because it has stood the test of time for the past 2,000 years, and perhaps it will continue to appeal to mankind forever. What makes the Quran immortal? There are two factors that contribute to Quran's immortality. One of them is the subject matter in the Quran. The other is the generality with which Vallur has presented the subject matter. In his book, Vallur deals with the subjects that are associated with wisdom instead of knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. What is knowledge? Knowledge is a result of learning information based on data and the relationship among them. Today's knowledge may become obsolete tomorrow. For example, scientific knowledge often becomes obsolete due to new information based on advances in research. Okay, what is wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to think and act using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. Wisdom is based on the collective experience of a community or human race in general, and it will remain valid forever, not like knowledge. Knowledge may change over a period of time, whereas wisdom does not change. So in the Quran, Vallur deals with wisdom-based subjects like right conduct, education, morality, generosity, hospitality, thankfulness, truthfulness, persistence, friendship, efficiency in management, effective leadership, familial and conjugal love, etc., which have always been considered desirable qualities having permanent appeal to humanity. The Worldwer had attempted to discuss scientific topics in his book. It is quite likely that his conclusions would have been proved wrong due to advances in science over the past 2 millennia. The other factor that has contributed to the immortality of his book is the generality with which he has approached the subject matter of his book. For example, when he talks about education, in couplet 391, he says, "Learn flawlessly what you should learn. After having learned, live accordingly." If Worldwer had listed the subjects to be learned or the books to be read, such a list would be outdated and may not have any relevance at the present time. Since he did not specifically say what has to be learned, his statement is still valid and will be valid at all times. Similarly, in another Quran, he asks, "Is there any task that is impossible to accomplish for the one who chooses the right moment and the right tool?" The right moment and the right tool for a task vary with respect to time. For example, the weapons used in a war during Worldwer's period are no longer used in the war today. So it would have been fallacious on his part if he had mentioned the details regarding the right time and the right tool. But he has made his point about the need for choosing right moment and the right tool to be successful in any action without being specific. This type of generalization in Worldwer's approach contributes to the eternal validity of his book. In addition to immortality, the Quran is also universally applicable. What does it mean to be universally applicable? Something that is universally applicable is something that can be applied to any situation in any community or country at any time. For example, the laws of a country are only applicable in that country. A religious text is acceptable only to those who follow that religion. But Thirukkural is not like that. It is applicable to everyone, everywhere. Worldwer makes no mention of his mother tongue or his native land in his book, except for a few couplets where he mentions the names of certain gods of Hindu mythology. There is no mention of any religion. When he discusses good conduct, he says that it has to depend upon the society and the time period in which one lives. In fact, in couplet 140, he says, "Those who fail to conduct themselves in harmony with the world are ignorant despite their vast knowledge." In fact, what he's trying to say in couplet 140 is, live as the wise people in the community live at the time of your life. Therefore, in the above couplet, Worldwer says that one should live consistent with the customs and norms of the wise people in the community where one lives. So he has made a very general statement about right conduct without being specific. So his statement is applicable in any part of the world at any given time. Because what is right conduct changes over a period of time and also depends on the place where you are. For example, there is no worldwide standard for good conduct. Divorce and remarriage are perfectly valid and considered acceptable conduct for women in the Western world, whereas divorce and remarriage may not be considered good conduct for women in some Asian countries. By stating that one should live in harmony with the world, Worldwer maintains his generality, and that contributes to the universal applicability of his statements. Well, we talked about immortality, we talked about the universal applicability, we talked about the nature of Thirukkural. Now, what is the current status of the Quran? Until 20th century, the Quran was studied and discussed only by the Tamil scholars, and the awareness of the Quran among the general public was very limited. The credit goes to the Dravidian movement and its leaders like Tande Periyar, Arinyar Anna, and Dr. Kalaignar Karunanidhi for bringing the Quran from the Pandit's parlor to the public arena. Today, every educated person in Tamil Nadu is aware of the Quran and at least some of its contents. At least part of the Quran is included in Tamil Nadu school curriculum. Tamil Nadu government and many private organizations encourage school children to memorize all the 1,330 couplets, and many children do so and win prizes for their accomplishment. Due to the initiatives of the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Dr. Kalaignar Karunanidhi, a beautiful chariot-like structure known as Valluvar Kotam in Chennai and a colossal statue of Thirukkural at the tip of the Indian peninsula have been erected. Tamil Nadu universities and Central Institute of Classical Tamil hold literary conferences to encourage research on Thirukkural. To further increase the awareness and knowledge of the Kural, the Honorable Justice of the Madras High Court, Mr. Mahadevan, has issued an order through his landmark judgment in 2015 to the Tamil Nadu government to include the first 1,080 couplets of the Kural in the curricula of students in the 6th grade through 12th grades. Recently, in 2022, he reissued a similar judgment reminding the government to comply with the court order, because the government has not complied yet. All these public and private sources' efforts to promote the Quran are indeed commendable. The Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi of India, and some of his ministers in his cabinet often quote from the Quran. Statues of Thiruvallur have been installed in many countries, and several conferences on the Quran have been held in USA, UK, and many other countries. Yet, most of the world is still unaware of the Quran. But the Quran is not included in the curricula of students in any state other than Tamil Nadu in India. As I mentioned before, the famous Tamil poet Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar of the 20th century says, the land of the Tamil-speaking people have attained great glory by giving Valluvar to the whole world. It is true that the Tamil-speaking people have indeed made a unique and remarkable gift to the world, but unfortunately, the world has not yet recognized this gift. Dr. Armugam Parasuraman is working with several Tamil organizations in the world to get Thirukkural recognized by UNESCO as a book of universal literature. If his attempts were successful, Kural's recognition in the world will exponentially increase. In addition to these efforts, we, the Tamil people, have the responsibility to promote Thirukkural in all possible ways so that people all over the world will be benefited from the ageless wisdom of Thiruvallur. Scholars could pursue their research on the comparative study of Thiruvallur's philosophy with those of Western philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Marcus Aurelius, and Eastern philosophers like Buddha, Mahavira, Confucius, Lao Tzu, and possibly other modern thinkers and philosophers on the world. They should publish their research in reputed international journals. The government of India should declare Thirukkural as a national book, and steps should be taken to include information about Thirukkural in the high school textbooks in all states in India. If Prime Minister Modi is really interested in Thirukkural, and if he really loves the Quran, he should do this immediately. Steps should also be taken to include Thirukkural in the university curricula as part of business management, political science, public administration, philosophy, psychology, sociology, and literature. There are a number of translations of Thirukkural available in many languages, but translations alone are not sufficient to promote Thirukkural. Scholars should publish books and articles about various aspects of Thirukkural in Indian languages and foreign languages such as English, French, Spanish, Chinese, etc. Good quality documentaries about the different aspects of Thirukkural should be developed in leading languages of the world, and they should be made available to people all over the world. The Central Institute of Classical Tamil in Chennai and the Tamil Nadu government, they have all the necessary resources to accomplish most of these items. They have scholars, I'm sure they have funds. If we are really interested in promoting the Quran worldwide, these projects should be given high priority. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in today's introductory lecture, we covered the uniqueness of the Quran, the revolutionary aspect of the Quran, rationalism in Thirukkural, its immortal nature, and the universal applicability of Thirukkural. We also discussed possible steps we can take to promote Thirukkural worldwide. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Dr. Prabhakaran, for this very enlightening presentation. In fact, during this presentation, you've given us a very deep insight into the mission of Thirukkural and the universality of Thirukkural, and also how Thirukkural can contribute to a better humanity, to world peace, and to provide the right wisdom that we all need in society. Without further ado, I entrust the follow-up now to respected Mr. Rajendran, voice of Valluvar, who will give his comments and also put questions or start the questioning on this during this interactive session. Mr. Rajendran.
Thank you, sir. Prabhakaran sir has delivered a very structured introduction to Thirukkural. A beginner who is totally new to Thirukkural can start from here. He has given the circumstances in which Thirukkural was written and the broad contours of Thirukkural, and how is it different from the rest of the literature, its universality, its evolutionary, because every religion claims something out of it, but still it is revolutionary. All these aspects it dealt with in detail. All this thing is possible only because of scholarly readership of the broad contours of broad spectrum of Tamil literature, especially Sangam literature. Thirukkural has got a lot of resemblance to, it has taken a lot of inputs from Sangam literature. It has taken inputs from all over, like Paribhai says, all over, whatever the knowledge was available at that particular point of time. Yet, he has come out with a masterpiece, which is unique in nature and universal in its character. That is how it has been. Sir, you have very, very nicely brought it out. I'm sure this 6-part series will give a real insight to the youngsters and attract them towards Thirukkural. Now, the government of Tamil Nadu, you have outlined not only you said how is it relevant and how is it revolutionary, how is it immortal in nature, all these things. But you also said what are the steps to be taken to take it forward. The government and the people. Everything has been very nicely and beautifully explained, sir. Definitely, we all look forward to the rest of the 5 lectures in this series. Only yesterday, I was referring to one of the Ponniyin Selvan songs. My daughter asked for meaning. I searched and I got only your site, your blog first. And I copied and then copied the link also, said, this is what, the meaning of the Ilayor Suda, that song. Word by word, you have not passed over any particular phrase. You have taken trouble to explain the context, explain the meaning, and the whole remit of the poem. So that nicely I explained to my daughter. Thanks to you, sir. And I now open the floor with these remarks. Again, I must thank Dr. R. Parasuraman. Repeatedly, we have been telling in various forums, a man who is very passionate about Thirukkural, a man who is passionate about culture and education, a man who worked in UNESCO for close to 20 years. He is keen to take Thirukkural through UNESCO to the world and present it to the world. There's no point in talking among ourselves. This series in lecture was conceived by Dr. R. Parasuraman, and it's seeing its 26th edition, and people will see this content and value and relevance in the coming times. I'm 100% sure of it. So with these my remarks, I open the floor to the great audience here, and you can raise your hand and make your comments. And if you have any specific questions, please ask Dr. R. Parasuraman, who will come out with the appropriate reply. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Now the floor is open. Now I'm seeing the hands of Mr. Kurandevel Ramaswamy. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good morning and good evening to everybody. It was really a very good introduction about which all of us in this group know, and probably many in the world know also. My only concern or only thing as an action that we all at our level must try to follow it through and make it happen is March 21, 2017. Government, like Dr. Prabhakaran said, issued an order for teaching 105 chapters, sections, adhigarams in Tamil Nadu schools. I have met in person last December the Justice Mahadevan and also Uday Chandran, who is at the very nodal point between the government and the public or the public schools. They have partially implemented. The pathetic is every book as per the order has 15 adhigarams at the back, but unfortunately it's optional. It's like you are starving, you got all the food on your leaf, plantain leaf, but your hands are tied. So my request at this point, to all this and our friends is follow up with the government, at least in the upcoming 23-24 school year. It should be implemented in full, not as an option. So all of us collectively can pull this thing together to make these things happen. So anybody can talk, and there are everything what we are talking, what we are thinking, all are in the YouTube these days. So everybody knows the importance or the values in Thirukkural, but unless we bring this to the younger generation, we are totally lost in the jungle. The younger generation, at least in Tamil Nadu, will be getting benefited if we take that action. Thank you very much.
That is, the point, which is, yes, everybody is concerned about it. The youngsters are free to take, there's a dearth of literature in English about Thirukkural. And nowadays, hardly, even children in Tamil Nadu, they don't read Tamil properly. Okay, it's a duty to take it to them, but there's nothing prevents the youngsters in college, youngsters in +1, +2, to listen to these kind of lecture. And I'm telling you, hardly any lecture. I repeat, I know the content in YouTube. There is a lot of material. There's no in-depth material, and this lecture, I'm telling you, it's unique in nature. And youngsters who are preparing for a competitive examination, whether it's for UPSC or because there is a paper on ethics and values, general. There's everything is said in Thirukkural. So this lecture, I'm telling you, will form a very, very valuable input to the people, those who are preparing for examination, both at the state and central level. So youngsters must make use of it, and it's our bounden duty to take the content of this lecture to the larger audience. Yes, school, I'm aware of it, and we are working on it, and the government is working. We will take it forward. And anything on the, you would like to say anything about the lecture, and then the lecture to be what you are expecting out of this series? You have anything specific? Kindly make your comments and suggestions that will help us.
Yeah, this lecture is definitely useful for not only the younger generation, anybody who knows a little bit about Thirukkural or who do not know. It's also recorded, so this will be available for anybody in the future. So this is a very valuable lecture and a series of 6. This is the first one. We are looking forward for 5 more lectures from Dr. Prabhakaran and anybody who would contribute to the cause. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anybody else who would like to make comments? Yeah, Mr. Kadiravan. Mr. Kadiravan is an engineer from Annamalai University. He was a project engineer in, for over 40 years. Very experienced senior executive in several leading organizations. He is also trying to get into Tamil literature. But he has written over 70 articles on the center page of Dinamani. He regularly contributes. He's a very socially conscious person, and he would like to make his comments. Mr. Kadiravan, please.
It is one of the best speeches that I've ever heard. It was a wonderful thing. The government of India in its new education policy is implying to include Bhagavad Gita in higher education. Whereas we, at least in Tamil Nadu, in higher education, the government, I understand, is preparing a state education policy, which is, I understand it is under draft stage. I think it should include Thirukkural in college level education. It's a must, number one. We are talking about taking the Thirukkural to students, school students and college students, whereas the emphasis should be to train the teachers of school and college. That I think will bring out more or better benefits, I presume. Any comments, sir?
I think that's a good idea. We should also train the teachers so that they will be knowledgeable about Thirukkural.
Thank you.
So I also would like to, with your permission, add something. There is a wrong notion that Thirukkural is meant for only Tamil teachers, both in school and colleges. It belongs to everyone. Like, today you brought out the rationality in Thirukkural. What else is science is talking about? The question, scientific temper. Scientific temper is nothing but questioning attitude. Question till you get satisfied. So it need to be freed from the shackles of art. It has to be taken beyond Tamil teachers, and definitely should form part of the curriculum in universities. I fully agree with you, Mr. Kadrivan. I'm saying that. Yeah.
If I may add something, Mr. Rajendran.
Sir.
I certainly agree with Mr. Kartivaran that we need to get the teachers involved, because they will be the one who can transmit, who can promote it in the classroom. But this will depend on a policy by the government. The government, be the state government, should have a clear policy that teachers will be, during their training program, in the training program for teachers, a module on teaching Thirukkural should be introduced. Once you take it like that in this formal way, then it will happen. It will be part of the teaching curriculum. So that's something which we need to ensure. Then it will have its impact over the years. And the other thing to remember, although, as you mentioned, the new education policy, they are mentioning about the Ramayana, Gita, but the director of UGC issued in the recent past a circular to all vice chancellors of all universities in India. There was a circular inviting all universities in India to promote the teaching of Thirukkural. But it was probably a general appeal to all of them, but this could be structured, especially when we are looking at inculcating values among the students at different levels. I think Thirukkural can contribute significantly at different levels, right from primary school and up to university. I believe this is what could be the main focus of the policy, and that would certainly bring a lot of benefit. And we know also how the Prime Minister himself repeatedly, on many important occasions, has been talking about how Thirukkural, how valuable it is, how important it is. And I believe this is also should be canvassed further. Mr. Rajendran, I think Professor Ramalingam has raised.
Yes, sir, he is waiting, sir. Before that, I just, you mentioned about the circular, UGC circular.
Yes.
That was issued on 29th June 2015. It's a one-page
Yes.
circular to all the vice chancellors in India. I
Yes.
have the text also. The
Very
relevant portion to, it is only a three-para letter. And it says that the second para, it says, the text is considered one of the most revered among ancient Tamil works, particularly because of its insightful commentary on human morals and betterment in life. I request you to organize in your university and affiliated colleges essay competitions, seminars, and debates based on the life and works of Shri Thiruvallur. I am sure Shri Thiruvallur's rich message will liberate teachers and students from the stress of confrontational relationship and equip them with the social relationship skills and attitude to succeed. This is what the circular says. With this, I'll share the circular later, and you can also share it in website.
Yeah.
Professor Ramalingam, please.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You are mentioning about the circular, no, sir, that I will come to later. First, I wanted to congratulate Mr. Prabhakaran for enlightening us. I thought when by seeing this Zoom circular, I thought that some Tamil scholar is going to address. The way he is articulating the issues entirely different from this Tamil scholars. I could feel that he is the Tamil scholar like Schulman. This enrichment and his depth knowledge on the subject and comparatively giving the structure. Definitely, may I request our Professor Armu Parasuraman to collect all these video clippings and put it in the form of video lectures so that let it reach to the education institutions, especially where our Tamil scholars are working on this particular field. This is the right time. We have to promote. We could not find these kind of activities in India or Tamil Nadu. Whatever is happening in the Western society is very much required, especially after this COVID. We could see a lot of lectures from Western society, especially focusing on the Tamil literature and language aspects. Particularly, this Thirukkural is very important aspect. As you mentioned about the circular by UGC, whatever the circular the UGC is issuing, sir, it confined to the particular year or followed by 1 or 2 years. It will not withstand for many years. Based on that, whenever the policy suggestion comes, immediately they will float. It was a overwhelming response, sir, for the 2 years, 15, 16. Many universities have participated and even they brought out volumes. Professor Armu Parasuraman is knowing that one Professor Uma Devi from Delhi University, she herself organized a program based on this circular, sir. This is going on. This is an ongoing activity. As our friends have mentioned, how the Tamil Nadu government to react. This kind of forum has to, sir, properly bring it to the notice of the Chief Minister. He is such a kind person. Whatever the good things is happening and the suggestions are coming, immediately is trying to implement. Definitely he will implement, but we have to give it in a concrete way. What we are going to implement at the school level and what is essential for the undergraduate and postgraduate level. That we have to give it in a nutshell, sir. Definitely he will implement. He won't hesitate. He will not have the second thought. For this matter, when Professor Armu Parasuraman coming to Tamil Nadu, let him meet this, sir, Tamil Development Directorate. Definitely, we may have this, took it further, and we can continuously have this kind of lectures, sir, especially when he was mentioning for the 5 lectures. I will also share the link for some of this closely working on this research on Thirukkural. That will be very useful, sir. Especially one principal, Yetiraji from our Pondicherry Technological University, he has written in English for all the 1,330 couplets, and still is preparing some articles on that. This lecture is very useful. I congratulate for organizing such a a program. I could see all these participants are not the Tamil scholars or Tamil teachers, including myself. I am also a psychologist. I am not a Tamil scholar. In that way, this is a very good contribution to the humanity, sir. As our Professor Armu Parasuraman has initiated, it has to be translated in all Indian languages. To start with 5 languages we have taken up, 2 has almost completed, sir. Bengali and Hindi. This Kannada is coming up and Telugu is also coming up. Very soon you will get a copy of the book. That efforts goes to Professor Arum Parthuraman. Whenever he is coming to Tamil Nadu, India, he is stressing how it can be taken up further and how we can implement and what are all the levels to follow. This we have to appreciate and congratulate for this Zoom meeting, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ramalingam. I think Mr. Rajendran, if we have any other.
I'm not seeing any other hands, sir.
Maybe I should be more precise. Professor Ramalingam mentioned what he has, in fact, he has undertaken the responsibility of translating the Thirukkural judgment by Justice Mahadevan into those languages he mentioned. He said Hindi and I think Kannada already, but he's doing it in other languages also. We have translated into French and German. So we hope to get the translation of the judgment to be disseminated. Thank you, Professor Ramalingam.
Very nice, sir.
Yes. Mr. Rajendran?
Yes, sir. I'm not seeing any other answer.
So we can.
No other question will.
Unless Dr. Prabhakaran,
Would like
would you like to give us at least a foretaste of what is coming next? Have you already thought about the next topic?
Yeah, we'll talk about world wars ideas on management, leadership, friendship, love, things like that, basically. Things that are of more common interest to a lot of people.
Good governance?
Yeah, good governance.
That also very important.
Yes.
Very good, very good.
If there are any other suggestions, please let me know so I can prepare those things.
And
fine,
so the next one will be in a month's time, and I'll await the Dr. Prabhakaran giving me the topic and will inform you in advance. But when you get the convocation, do share with your own circle so that we can get a wider presence. But in any case, the video of this talk will be on YouTube and will also be on the website of the International Thirukkural Foundation, on the Facebook page, and will also be on Valai Tamil website. So it will be widely available, and we'll make sure we'll share it with all those we have invited for this conference so can get the benefit of this talk. And Dr. Prabhakaran could also, since this is a unique series of talks, in addition to what you've written already, think about it. We might come up with a publication of those 6 lectures as an initiative of the International Thirukkural Foundation with our partners, with Voice of Valluvar and others, so that this also could be available in a printed format, in addition to being available online.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Family, on behalf of International Thirukkural Foundation, Mauritius, and other participating organization, Tamil Valachi Mandam, Australia, Voice of Valluvar and Valai Tamil, and all the participants here, we sincerely thank you, sir. Knowledge sharing is something very, very important. Valluvar used to say, "Soller Ulavar." We are trying to plow the minds of people and sow the seeds of ideas so that it sprouts and the society gets benefited, and the humanity gets benefited in general. So that is what it's a human service, sir. And I'm sure the land from where you are residing now, they would charge a heavy amount for this 1 hour, 1.5 hour lecture. And we are not. We are the country where we normally don't charge anything for knowledge sharing, and I must sincerely thank you, sir, for your time, knowledge, and all the participants here. Without your presence and without your intervention, the session would not have been fruitful. So I sincerely thank all the participants too, and especially Dr. Prabhakaran, the chief guest of the day. Thank you, Arum Parthuraman, sir, for this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
again
you.
catch up with you in the next meeting. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.